smooth. So I got one of those Chase Bliss mystery boxes, and in it came these two pedals, the Lossy and the EXP. Problem being, my board is substantially maxed out, notably the power supply, which is a True Tone CS12. Great thing, but everything I use is 9 volt DC, pretty straightforward, quite variable in terms of required milliamps, but fundamentally very simple. The CS12 is designed for more weird stuff. So I had to find a new power supply if I wanted to put this stuff on the board. I went looking for a very long time for power supply, coming up with 3 options. Rockboard, IEC, V12. Problem with that being it's about the same size as CS12, and I've always found the placement and the size of that unit a bit cumbersome. Gig rig Gen X14. Like all gig rig stuff, every time I look at it, it's too expensive and takes too long. Sort of forcing me into the Walrus Canvas 15, which is in a ludicrously sized box. Now, apropos of a previous video about buying American stuff, this I bought through a Canadian retailer. It was in stock. Walrus is a reasonably small American company, probably 20, maybe 30 employees total. So, buying through a Canadian dealer and with it in stock, I thought this would be a good shout. Especially as it's incredibly small despite the box, which is designed for the CS22 and just used for the 15. Oh no, something's stuck. Help, 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 help. So, box that big for power supply this big. Now the board I'm using is my old Pedal Train 2. I bought this ages ago from a guy who said, it's not big enough for me. And I thought at the time that was ridiculous. Now though, I'm really struggling to get everything on this board. This is the space. This is the only bit of space I will have, and therefore I will use it. So the issue I've been having with my old power supply is having so much of it block up this row. I hate that. I want this wide open. So what I was hoping I could do with the Canvas power supply was just putting it against the back wall bar here, which is technically possible until you try to plug something in and you notice it sticks up past the feet. Meaning I'm going to have to increase the height on the back of this. And how I'm going to do that is with these little spacers, which are drilled out of a hockey puck, because Canada. That will give me plenty of room for wires, and as well, I've sort of dry fit this. I prefer the height that it gives me. It feels like it makes it easier to step on the top row, which is very important because that top row is all my gain and the weird stuff with the Chase Bliss up there. So that row is going to need to be accessible for everything. Luckily, the little bit of added height seems to make it very much simplified. Let's go grab a drill, put those feet on, throw this power supply underneath, and build a board. I have to put it this way because this end, the top row, is going to have the input from the guitar signal, and then the two outputs are down here. So I want a plug on this side. So I've just thrown some painter's tape on here so that nothing sticks when I put the pedals down, because most of them have already been on here. Most of them already have dual lock, and I don't want to muck about with playing with dual lock, pulling pedals on and off and on and off with it. So I've just made sure that it won't stick for now. Okay, so everything is connected. This bottom row is extremely tight. Like, both these Boss pedals are hanging over the edge just a little bit. This EXP got jammed in. You can see how tight it is. I cannot fit any more on this board. So these little feet that I put in are perfect in every way, except that this little straight angle thing sticks up higher than the right angle thing, so I have to reverse and make sure that all of these plugged in are the right angle bits and not straight angle, meaning all of my plugs have to be straight angle up top. Because of requiring the power to go straight end in to save room, because it doesn't fit sideways down to the bottom, and the level of cramping that's causing, I'm going to have to take the power supply from this way and use the actual brackets, mount it to the bottom, and do it the way that the manufacturer wants you to. I may also move some pedals around up top and see where we get from there. Okay, that was hell. But I've got everything on except the tuner. That had to come off, but it doesn't matter because the HX1 has a tuner built in. I'm fine with not having the tuner. It's the only pedal I have that doesn't have a box anyway. I can pretty much get rid of it. So I've got it going all the drives into the Lossy, then underneath into the Suhr Buffer, split, Mood, Flanger, Echorec, into the HX1, out of the Suhr Buffer into the HX1. That's where it combines back to stereo, 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 done. Now all I gotta do is hook up the power, all of which is run from each pedal, and then see if it all works. Let's plug her in and see if everything lights up. Works, 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 works. That all works. That probably works. That works. That works. Cool. It's all tied in but loose. I could probably put something there, but I don't care. I've got all the excess underneath here. I'm not going to tighten the underneath because I don't need to. I can just tighten this stuff and be good. Don't buy 4-inch cable tie when 6 will do the job better. leave that underneath. You'll also notice I cut these brackets just to make it a bit easier for me to physically get in there and to be able to get access to all of these a bit more simply and plainly. I'm curious though, how much power, because this thing has a power bar on it. So how much power am I using? Also, Walrus, this IEC is really fucking short. What's that about? Only 10%. This thing is a monster if it's only using 10% and I've got all these freaking bits in it. This board looks pretty great. It's a good layout. You'll notice none of the pedals are even if you're someone who cares about that. Most of the reason for that is room. I don't have a lot. Everything has to be shoved together, so pedals have to be offset. But a byproduct of that is none of the foot switches line up, which to my mind means that it'll be easier to pick an individual foot switch considering how tight these things are together. An unanticipated thing involves the power supply. Now, I couldn't lay this out the way I wanted with this brick against this wall like this end is, but this end is the issue because that's where the IEC goes in. And if you're building a bigger board, which is what you would buy this power supply for, you're not going to have the separate IEC brick off the board. You're going to have it tucked in nice and neat, which means you're either going to have it on this end or on this end. You're not going to have it coming out the top or the middle or anything weird. This is the industry standard IEC cable. It's about 1 meter long. And for where I want the board to sit on the floor, need the board to sit on the floor for video as well as the acoustic properties of the room itself, this cable plugged into the left end here does not reach the plug on the wall to the left, nor the plug to the right, meaning I would need an extension cable to use this all the time. And given that I am just a bedroom guitarist, that seemed quite stupid. So what I did is, instead of using this 1 foot cable, 1 foot, 1 meter cable, I went and got a longer one. So now I should be able to plug in. Some other things, some other issues that were had are I bought this 6-inch TRS cable to run from one of these to this. I don't know why I thought that would work. That's on me for being stupid. This cable here, which comes with the Source Audio Collider, is a TRRS cable that I've had plugged in here. Old Blood Noise Slider. It doesn't work because it doesn't work into this because it's TRS and this is TTRS or TRRS. So I had to buy some more TRS cables. I got a 10-inch, a 15-inch. There's already a 12 plugged into the Mood, which has a bit of room. So I'm going to wire those up, program this and this to do what I want, and then finally play some stuff. There's something about a PedalBoard build that there's a strange catharsis and comfort, but also maddening anxiety. Because no matter how much you plan, no matter how many times you do it, you're gonna fuck up. You will make mistakes. You will forget things. There will be curveballs that you did not anticipate. This build is the most complete and I believe the most complex build I've done. That said, I haven't really done a lot, maybe 5 or 6 builds. But each time you learn something, you learn something new. And with each thing learned, your ambition grows. And with the growth of your ambition becomes a growth of your sound and a growth of yourself in some existential sort of way. But you are going to make mistakes along the way.